Gabriella. Hope you're blessed, happy, and well. Today is the day that I am going to tell you about my mother-father healing spell that I did. Is the first in a series of spells that I'm going to be doing for working through the past, working through generational curses, anything from the past that ties you, that blocks you from moving forward into divine abundance. If you didn't see my ancestors' intention oil spell, please check that out. That was kind of the precursor to these spells. And I'll be using that oil more than likely in all of my spells, but I'll kind of let intuition guide. But essentially what I did in preparation for these spells that is coming up, this Mother Father healing spell, as well as my breaking ancestral curses and bonds spell, it's been a bit heavy, because in order to prepare for these spells properly, I have to reflect on what it means, what I'm really releasing. So for the Mother Father healing spell specifically, it was challenging because I feel like I am just now coming to terms with some of the toxicity that has existed in my family, specifically around the biological mother-father unit. I was raised by my grandma, so thankfully a lot of this toxicity and trauma was from a very early age, like before the age of 6 years old, but still those are your most formative years when you're forming and taking in the largest amount of information. So for those of us who might have CPTSD, PTSD, who might be working through what it really means to be raised by toxic parents, by, dealing with the wounding from absent parents, dealing with narcissistic parents, this spell can be really beneficial for you in that way. Or even caretakers of any kind, whoever you consider that original mother, father. Now is the time for me and for us to release that, so that we can move forward into happiness and joy. A lot of times these core wounds around mother fathers can make it more difficult to have healthy, happy relationships as adults. And dealing with it, casting your spells, and also doing the deep inner shadow work that's necessary is our way to move through and to pave the way for happier relationships as adults and healthier relationships with romantically and otherwise in adulthood. So this is really what the spell is designed to do. And again, the preparation for it is just going in and really examining, really honestly, take all the shame away, take all what if someone's gonna, what if someone finds out how I really feel, or someone sees, for example, this video, it's just taking all of that away and just being like, what is my story as a kid? What is my memories? What have I experienced? Have I experienced love? Have I experienced nurturing? Have I experienced care? Have I experienced someone who just pretended on the surface to be that, but behind the scenes when no one was watching, it was very different? Really just be honest. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of people who have experienced trauma as a child feel the need to kind of protect the family unit. There's a stigma, you shouldn't talk about things that happen in the family or da-da-da-da-da. But I really think that fosters a culture of shame and makes it easier for these types of really injustices to fester and become generational phenomenon, which is how generational curses build and remain and continue throughout bloodlines. It's something happens, no one does anything, continues the cycle, and then it repeats and it repeats and it repeats as a karmic cycle. So at some point it needs to stop. So it's really up to anyone who has experienced that level of trauma to just go ahead and say, you know what I experienced was not okay, and do the spiritual work necessary to ensure that it stops with you, so that when you get married or whatever, if you don't want to get married or etc., when you have friends, when you have relationships, if and when you have kids, you will make sure to behave differently. Thankfully, I had some really great role models in my grandma and my aunt, so I'm a little bit better off than someone who has spent 18 years, 20 years with the same toxic person. But regardless of how long the abuse lasted, it's still abuse and it still needs healing. So this is the grid that I made for my mother, father / inner child healing spell. I still have my Ankh and I still have my lapis lazuli necklace. For those of you who follow me in my prior videos, you know exactly what they mean. But for a quick recap, the lapis lazuli necklace means the divine womb as a symbol of the womb. It's kind of in the shape of a womb and a heart. The Ankh is the portal to divine creation. And this particular spell, we see that I have 2 clear quartz crystals on kind of the wings of my Ankh and 3 candles in the center, as well as a rose quartz at the base pointing upward. I also have 2 labradorite crystals on either side. So overall, it kind of makes my Ankh look like a person. So with the candle being kind of its little face and the crystals on either side funneling energy into the candle. My rose quartz and my clear quartz are designed to funnel love, clarity, and healing into the candle itself. Rose quartz really being about love, clear quartz kind of being a conduit for clearing, cleansing, and releasing, as well as being a clear channel. So as the energies push into the candle, basically what it's doing is it's funneling that healing, that love, that clarity into the candle, which represents me, the divine child, and is facilitating then that healing. The labradorite, more of a grounding. It's really meant in this spell to be a grounding crystal along with the citrine, grounding in that joy, grounding in that abundance, the mental clarity, purging the toxicity from the mind space and bringing it down into earth, allowing me to literally and metaphorically spread my wings and fly. So those are what those crystals represent. I have a green aventurine crystal at the base of the Ankh, which is prosperity and abundance for myself, grounding into the physical. The solodite to the left near the labradorite is there for creating a greater sense of mental calm and clarity, and the turquoise for, manifesting the relationships, and again, the mental clarity that's needed, because when you are, a child in a toxic parental relationship, there's a lot of mind F's that happen. So you need a lot of, grounding, clearing, and purging the mind, but also funneling that love into that heart space. So that's kind of a general overview of what the crystals mean in this spell. So this grid is really designed to put, pretty much all of its energy into that center candle, into that portal for the healing of the divine child, which is represented by that center candle. The 2 candles on the outside represent the healing of the divine mother and divine father, which represents that Holy Trinity. And as you see, I've decorated the outside of the womb with, yellow, pink, and baby blue candles that remind me of childhood and kind of resemble a crib. I casted this spell with the memory of my dog in mind. That was just something very personal or unique to me. But what I recommend is when you set this spell up, to make sure that you're doing something that reminds you of children or childhood. My dog was like my emotional support animal. He was a small, fluffy gray ball of joy, and having him here in the form, of his hair, like the day after his passing, that is what reminded me of my inner child and nurturing of inner child, like small dogs, puppies. Like, I just associate that with the inner child. So it made sense to have him there. If you have like a teddy bear from your childhood, dolls, anything like that you want to add to the spell, or maybe have next to you as you're doing the spell for comfort, as you work to purge the inner child of these issues, and just allow kind of that pain to kind of come up, like that makes perfect sense. I put my special concoction of deep magnified love herbs in each one of my candles, along with my ancestors healing oil, my deep soul healing oil, and my magnified love oil, because for me, it really is about moving into a deeper sense of self-love, clearing that ancestral karma, and healing as well. So it was a trifecta. So that's why I use all 3 oils. It was really important for the energy of that middle candle to spin in a counterclockwise motion. So I used a pendulum to check that, and I recommend that you do so as well if you make the choice to do the spell. The twin flame energy was strong because for me, I am moving closer towards my twin flame, and in some ways, these spells are multifaceted. So in addition to inner child, mother, father healing, in addition to healing the divine womb, this also is very much of a clearing the blockages to my twin flame spell. And I felt like that was really interesting that Spirit would pay homage to that by having literally twin flames pop up in my cells. It happened twice. Once in my blue candle, where I had two flames just kind of dancing beside each other, and then one in my center candle as well. And it was so interesting because initially I thought that candle was going to go out. It had a very dim flame, like it burned for a while, had a very dim flame for several hours. It burned long after every single candle had burnt out, much longer than your average tea light candle would burn. I was so shocked. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the flame just reignites and explodes like in a blaze and starts going into two flames like dancing beside each other. And it was just so obviously twin flame. It was just amazing. It was amazing to see that. It was amazing that my dog was there. It was just a beautiful spell. And yeah, I hope it means something to you. I hope you enjoy watching the output, and feel free to replicate and modify as needed. My name is Arien with Arien Gabriella. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check out my website. I have blog posts up pretty much weekly. Thanks. Bye.